Sweet. So gonna spin up my VM. So we are doing SQL and Crocodile, and um, the way I'm gonna do the nmap scan is a little different. So yeah, get ready to digest. It's not something difficult. It's just a bit creative. Yeah. Okay. So the very first thing would be, should I like start? Okay, let me start my VPN connection. I usually do HackTheBox underscore SP, and that means it's gonna run something here. Let me see. Where is it? Yeah, so it's just moving into my VPN files directory inside starting point, and then it's doing the normal open VPN command to connect to the HackTheBox VPN. So that's pretty much what it's doing. Yes, I don't know. Every time I'm recording, for some reason I type the wrong password, but anyway. So okay, we want to do starting point, and let me open the browser. Okay, the old UI doesn't have a starting point, so let me go to the new one. Sweet. Oh no. So something went wrong, meaning it's all gonna unauthenticated. Okay, makes sense. So can I like log in, I guess? All right. What the hell? What's going on? I could imagine if it was displaying the passwords that I'm using, like that would be really bad. Okay, starting point. I guess okay, I'm there already. Okay, cool. Um, we're at SQL, and funnily enough, I have an active session here, which is interesting. Okay, so SQL, the first thing, so like after you've connected to the VPN, it will like automatically know that you're connected, and then from there you can spawn the machine. If I'm going fast, please tell me, because so far, according to me, like I'm pretty slow, like super slow. Yeah, so we give it a sec to spin up. Okay, so you got the IP and um that's cool. Let me just save it somewhere, I guess. IP is that cool. So I'm gonna skip the port scan first. Let's look at the first question. What does SQL stand for? Uh, if you, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, there's some sort of meme going around that some guy who misspelled or mispronounced some technical word and eliminated like some problem. So I'll insist this is SQL, not I mean this is SQL, not SQL. See, like I'm already like confused. So yeah, this is SQL. So it stands for Structured Query Language. Uh, yeah, that's cool. So I know you all have interacted with SQL at some point, but yeah. So now we get to the port scan, and by port scan we mean we want to see all the open ports on the machine and see which one we can tinker with. So yeah, normally how I do this is type HTTP or no type box and then give it the IP, and what that would be running is let me just open the http.sh. So what box is running is, where is it? I don't see it. Yeah, so it's doing so it's making a local variable. It's exporting the variable box to the IP that I give it, and then running a record on TCP. And what recon TCP is doing is now the basic nmap um, syntax. So we are saying run it with sudo, so with root permissions, and have t4 there. T4 means we're increasing the number of packets per second, but you could also use like min rate 10k or min rate something, maybe 5k, depends how fast you want it to go. But you should also look at efficiency, because I see like if you use something like min rate 10k, sometimes it omits some ports, and that's you're gonna have a really hard time. Takesi, so Takesi, uses the default scripts for Nmap, to detect like basic things, what OS is running or stuff like that. Takesi, um, we are doing like version detection, on the services. And TACBTAC, we are saying like we want to do from port 1 to port 65,535. Yeah, that's the port range. And TAC-ON, we want to say save the output to a file, and I'm calling it nmap scan, and we're passing the IP. And then TAC-V is just to do it in verbose mode. This is really cool, especially if you're doing it competitively, if you're like doing a box competitively or something like that. You want to see the ports as they go. So like, for example, if it finds port 22, it will just tell you like, okay, port 22 is open, and so on and so on. So we're not gonna do this, because the thing about these 13-point machines, they're really slow for whatever reason. We're gonna do something else. But first, I created this IP here, and yet I don't even have the folder to this machine. So I come to machines and do modder and say SQL. So what this is another custom thing. So what it's doing is the 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 name that you will pass to it, like it will create a folder and then cd into that. So it's really helpful. Instead of you do a make directory, and then you give it the name, then again you have to cd into that directory again. It's really annoying. So yeah, I do that. Oh, and how it's doing that is, let me just open this again. Is it in this one, or it's in, I think it's in CTF, I guess. Yeah, so it's you're giving it the first argument on on the command line, which would be the name of the folder. And what this does, it just does like changes the directory of whatever you gave it as the first argument. So if I'm doing make directory of SQL, it's gonna do make directory of SQL and cd into SQL. So yeah, that's what I do in making a directory. So I need to move, is it IP? Yeah, here, cool. So instead of nmap, what you're gonna utilize is threading in Bash, and you'll notice like this gets a lot faster if you do it that way, so that you can avoid like the dropping probes that usually occurs when you're scanning these starting point machines. Um, Again, I hope I'm slow. Just hope I'm really slow. We're just gonna create a Bash script here. But first, what you're gonna do instead of scanning, doing the whole port range, because for this starting point boxes, they're like the ports are usually in the top 1000, so we're only gonna scan the top 1000 ports. And yes, we aren't gonna do the full, port range. Yeah, so if you Google, top 1000 ports nmap, there's this cool site where it shows you, okay, when I don't specify that I'm scanning the entire port range, what ports does nmap scan? And in regards to top 1000, this list here are the ports that nmap will scan when we're talking about top 1000 and not the full port range. And same goes to UDP. But we're only gonna do TCP because uh, again, I haven't found a way to implement scanning UDP using the same method, because if you notice, there are ports here that are also here, but then here they're in they're UDP ports and not TCP ports. So the method I use doesn't create that difference. Yeah, but it's only for like starting point. Just it's it doesn't have to become a thing. It's just something creative that I just decided to come up with. So as usual, the shebang line there. I know if Wiz is in the call, he was waiting for me to say that. But so what you're gonna do is copy this and make a file with these ports. Um, I'm gonna do an echo of this. Then I'm gonna run truncate, and what truncate is doing is, okay, you want me to look for this and you want me to replace it with something else. So I'm looking for commas and I want to replace them with new lines, and then save that to a file. So maybe top 1000 ports. Let's see whether that works. Yep, so looks good. There's some sort of, oh, that's from the other pane. Okay, cool. I need to close that nicely. All right, cool. So we have the ports there. Then the next thing we're gonna do now is implement, the whole threading thing. So let me start by explaining, threading. Threading is where you like run two processes concurrently, or is it really concurrently or it's in parallel? So like one is running and the other one is running in the background, or yeah. So let's start with the basics. So if we do a time, and by time I mean I want to see like how long the command took to run. So if I do a time on sleep one, it should say 1 second, right? Because I've said like sleep for 1 second, so it's almost there. It has the 8 milliseconds, I believe. So yeah, so that sleeps for 1 second, or runs for 1 second basically. So now I want to do a sleep one and another sleep. So what this one's gonna do is, they're running concurrently, meaning the first sleep has to, um, finish, and then it gets to the other sleep, and then now it runs time on, how long did that take to run. So let's see, it should say something like 2 seconds. Yeah, so 2 seconds and 6 milliseconds. Now with threading is where this first sleep will be running on the foreground and the second sleep will be running in the background. So if I do a time on sleep one, end, so end already says take this to the background and then run this other one on the foreground. So how long does that take? It takes 1 second and not 2 seconds. But both of them ran only that one ran in the background. So they ran like in parallel. So we're gonna utilize this now to do the port scan. And how I'm gonna do it is, so before I had a problem where, so like if you do netcut and you give it the IP, so what's the IP? Okay, let me just, I've saved it in, the IP file, so I can just do cut IP and you give it a port. Um, okay, I can just, spoil the whatever the fun here, but like the box is called SQL, so something to do with MySQL or stuff, is running. So the port for that would be 3306. So if I do like 3306 and I put in verbose to see whether the port is open, you'd see it says, okay, ignore this, that's something else. But if you check, it says open, right? But then it's hanging. So the thing here is, if you do -H, this very last option, zero input output mode, says it tells netcut. So don't, like, when you, so how should I explain this? Like, don't listen for anything. Like, just don't expect data back. Just do whatever you're doing and then exit. So if we have -Z instead here, it says, okay, cool, it's open, and then dies. So that's good because now with this, I can use this to scan the top 1000 port range. So the first thing I'm gonna do is create the function that is handling this process where it's passing the IP and checking if it's open or not. So the next thing before I start writing the function is that, when you run a command on Linux, let's say ls, and it runs successfully, if you check the exit code, it's 0. If you run something that doesn't exist, maybe John Collins is dumb, and check the exit code, it's not 0, it's something else. Mostly it's maybe 1, but yeah, it's like the baseline is it will never be 0 if it didn't run successfully. So we're gonna use this as well to, not really, actually we are not gonna use it. We want to use it if, so my initial idea was to do this in Python, but Python is just no way. Like, it's good, but it doesn't do the job properly. I could also show that if you guys are down. I hope I won't confuse anyone. But uh, this is really good to note. Yeah. So we create the function, right? The way you can create a function in Bash is, you have function, then give it something. Or the way I like to do it is just start with the name of the function, then that's it. So it knows that's a function. So we're gonna say something like, uh, scan top 1000 ports, like that. And so what are we doing? We are running the netcat thing, right? So we do nc tax z, let's give it the IP. That's the IP. And we are giving it a port. So I'll just do $1. and that means the like the port is gonna be the very first argument that I'll pass to this function. So yeah, then after this we're gonna do end end, and so this is where what the basics really come in, where what you're trying to do. Okay, let me just finish the line that I was writing. So you're gonna do echo port open, or port $1 open, and then after this you're gonna just put it in the background. So basically, the reason, now I want to explain why I used end here and I used end here. It's very basic. So um end it says, like, if the previous command was successful, then do whatever I pass next. So, like, if this is successful, then this will run, but if it's not, it won't. So that's what I'm trying to exercise here, where if it doesn't find the ports open, um, it's not gonna echo, port is open. But if it does, it's gonna echo port is open. And the thing is, it's gonna run this in, like, as one command. So that's why I used end. And then everything after that is just put in the background. So basically, this is one thread. This is already like one thread, meaning if it takes a bunch of other stuff to the background, that way will create like multiple threads where you'll have something in the background running, this entire thing, and it's gonna come back with either open or closed. Yeah, okay, it won't say it's closed. Okay, if you wanted to, like, I didn't say it necessary, but if you wanted to have the whole closed thing, in Bash you do this double pipes, and then you could have, echo port $1 closed. And yeah, so what this is saying is, if it's successful, run this. If not, you say, ports closed. Um, yeah, I guess that's that for, yeah. So the next thing we're gonna do is, now it's looping through the port list that we grabbed from here, and doing a port scan basically. So I'm gonna say, for ports in cat IP do. So now we're gonna give it the function and then the port, because the way we specified this is the port that you're gonna check if it's open or closed. It will be the very first argument from this function. So we're gonna do, scan top 1,000 ports, and then give it the port. And that's, oh, I don't know why. Okay, cool. That's that for, the whole threading thing. So the last thing I'm gonna do is await. And what wait basically does, okay, so the thing is, you can have multiple threads running in the background, and when a thread, like, is done, it kind of like it affects whatever is running. Because I don't know if you've ever seen, uh let's do this, where we do a sleep of maybe 10 seconds or maybe 5 seconds. So okay, that's done already. That's interesting. But basically, if you ever run something in the background and then it finishes, it always says, like, this process terminated, something like that. So with wait, you're just saying, okay, when you're done, just blend in with the foreground processes, and don't stop giving us that thing of, you are done. Okay, we know you're done. If you found the port is open, tell us. If you haven't, just shut up and let the foreground processes do their thing. So that's what wait is doing there. Um, yes. So another thing I've done is, for port in cat IP, this is so wrong. It should be for port in the file that we created from this. So oops. Okay, that looks good now. And yeah, let's run it and see how fast it will actually scan the ports. So let's run this. Um, it's giving a lot of stuff, which I don't like. So let me see how can I guess the dash V isn't necessary in this case. So run it again, and it's done. That's it. Like it was that fast. Um, yes, and if you did this with Nmap, it's gonna take a bit, even though it's scanning the top 1,000 ports as well. Even though if even if you don't uh specify the top of the full port the full port range, it's gonna take a bit. But with this, it's a lot faster. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a thing because I haven't yet discovered how to do the whole UDP, end of things. Um, yeah. So in real sense, here we should have like TCP. So, when it runs, it says port 3306, my SQL stuff, that's a TCP port and it's open. Yes, so that's basically it. I wanted to tweak it a little bit and run nmap immediately after it finds the ports, but I'm not. I thought I was that good at Bash, but I'm not. Uh, that one maybe I'll just come up with it with time. It's a bit too difficult, especially because of the whole background stuff. So yeah. So now what you can do after this is now run nmap specifically passing in this port, not running the port scan. Because you know what nmap does is it does the port scan first, and then it does the enumeration of the OS version, the OS, the what service version, and stuff like that. Yeah. So now what you can do after this, and you're gonna use this for the other box as well, is now run sudo nmap, tact4 and pass in the IP. So it's specifically this IP and do the tac scv and maybe, um, save the output to a file. So I'm gonna call it nmap scan and yeah, maybe dash v, but dash v isn't really necessary at this point. So yep, let's run it. Segmentation fault. Oh, we haven't given it the IP though. What are we doing? We've given it the syntax, but it doesn't know what IP to use. So let me cut the IP and let's, where do I usually put it? Maybe here, or I feel like I put it at the very end. There. Yeah, that looks good. So the reason why it's not showing stuff is I didn't do the dash V, but it's gonna finish relatively quickly. So yes, if it's gonna take longer than a minute, I'm gonna get really worried because it shouldn't take that long. Okay, I'm getting worried now. I'm really getting worried, but it shouldn't take long. It really shouldn't. Maybe it's just the port that is, I guess, because when I was doing this, I was testing it out with the other box now, the one that's coming next, um, and it didn't take long. So I don't know. Maybe MySQL just enumeration takes a while. I don't know. I could have done dash V so that I see what's going on, but I was very sure it's not gonna take long. So you can imagine, okay, if it's fingers crossed, if it's taking a bit of time right now, you can imagine now the time that it would have taken to scan the ports first, and then um, do this. And the reason I'm saying scan the ports is for starting point, even if you have min rate 10K, it's gonna fail at some point and you're gonna get a bunch of errors. So let me just say they're not meant to handle, such type of port scans. So that's the reason why I decided to do the whole threading thing. Okay, I'm really worried now. It's taking a bit. So let's just continue the questions, right? Um, so during our scan, which port running MySQL? Did I say MySQL? MySQL. Oh God. Uh, do we find? So we know the port is this, right? Submit. Cool. And this is so for this question, I'm relying on this to finish. Why is it taking so long though? So it's asking what community developed MySQL version is the target running, and I need this to do its thing. Or do I have the wrong syntax? I don't think so. So why is it taking a bit of time? Let me just, in good faith, let me cancel this and have verbose so that I see what it's doing. So this whole time it has been scanning the service. That's interesting. So it's just doing the normal service enumeration, OS and stuff like that, but it's taking a bit of time, which is interesting. Maybe that's MySQL, I don't know. But for the other box, you'll notice it's all gonna take a while. I don't know why this one's taking a while. So I guess I can answer this one just because let me cheat. They've given us a nice hint here where the answer is ending with B, and I guess this would be MariaDB. Um, yeah, that would be the answer to this because we search MariaDB. Yeah, so it's an open source relational database management system that is a highly compatible drop-in replacement of MySQL. MySQL. God. Um, yeah, so it's asking the community developed version, and yeah, this would be it. So if I just copy this, that goes. Cool. So what switch do we need in order to specify a login username for the MySQL service? Okay, so so basically, um, it seems we don't need that much of info from this scan, but like I said, I'm worried because it's taking a bit of time. That's fine. Um, so SQL. So the way we log into such a service is, you have MySQL and then you give it a user with dash U. Um, let's just say blah blah blah, and the next thing you do maybe is give it the password. So I see people like running it like this, and then it has to ask you for the password. This is a really bad way of doing it. What you could do to avoid that prompt is just give it like, oh, so I need to kind of exit out of this. Cool. So you do something like this, where you give it the password right next to the switch. So maybe all day, and then from there you give it the host. So with dash H is where you specify the IP that you're trying to, connect to. So you'd have like this, like that. So that's the syntax. Um, so yeah, mostly you'll see guys specifying the dash H switch first, which is fine. That makes sense because you want to specify, okay, I'm trying to log into this box through, you know, MySQL. So yeah, that really makes sense. But it's still the same syntax either way. So let's run this and see. It's all gonna work because definitely blah 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 doesn't exist. Oh, now it's done. It decided to. Damn. Now is when it's fit. Oh my god. So okay, that's cool. And I've seen this salt. That looks interesting. That is really interesting. Okay, cool. So the MariaDB answer that we would have gotten it from here, yeah, and it's also giving us, the exact version and stuff like that, giving us the capabilities that you could run within, MySQL. Yeah. So let's just answer and see whether it will give us a hint for, the user we can log in as. So dash u, and which username allows us to log into MariaDB without providing a password. So we don't need to provide a password. Okay, so maybe we can set something like MariaDB default username. Oh, it's root. Interesting. So yeah, maybe let's try that user. Looks promising. So we'd have root, and I don't know. Do I, when I'm doing it like this and it's a blank password, do I just put it as blank? I guess. I'm not so sure. Let's see. It's gonna ask me for password. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe just dash p and then blank. Let me see. One sec. Because why are you asking me for prompt? That's so annoying. But if there's no other way, then yeah, we can just work with the prompt. Um, I'm waiting for it to tell me, access denied, so that I try it again. Or I could just, okay, there you go. So maybe I just have to do it like this, and then just do enter for blank pass, and I can close this. So does it work? Is it working? It's taking a bit of time, I guess, to log in. Oh, sick. So now we're logged in, and now we can do more stuff. But the thing is, I need to come back here and like answer the questions. So it was roots. Um, now okay, now we need to go back here. So the very first thing you do when you log into MySQL is check the databases, right? So you do show databases like this, and you see like there's a list of databases here. There are four of them, but two of them aren't really that useful. If you see anything with schema, it means it's just information about something else. It doesn't really have much, and that's why like there's a time I was talking about union injection, and I think I pointed guys to a room on track me where you could learn SQL SQL injection. Um, what you'd see most of the time you're trying to pull info from information schema, and that's because the point the what the reason for having information schema is to have a layout of how the database looks like. So that is why when you're doing SQL injection, we pull data, maybe like, I think the first thing we usually do is check the database name, just as we're doing here. Then after that, you want to see the tables, etc., etc. So yeah. So the one that looks interesting here is HTTP, for weird reasons. I can't really explain why it looks interesting, but yeah. So now we want to use HTTP, and that's how you like specify, okay, I want to use this database. I want to jump into this database and see what's there. Okay, now you can see like it changed from none to HTTP, so that's good. And now you want to list the tables. So just as you did show databases, you can do show tables. Cool. And so there's config and there's users. Okay, so for this one, I can't really say one is more interesting than the other. I think both are interesting. In the case where I was doing maybe like an actual box, like both of them look, yeah, they look interesting because if you can enumerate for use, if you can enumerate users this way, then yeah, that's really cool. So maybe you can start with our one and see whether there's anything interesting there. So how we do this is using the select statement. So what you're saying is select everything from users, and you have to end with that semicolon there. Okay, so you get a four users. There's admin, there's Laura, there's Sam, there's Mary. Yes, so that's pretty much it. And if you do like describe, instead of doing select, if you do describe users, now you get the layout. Now this layout you're seeing here is how information schema looks like. So it's just giving you like, okay, this is how the database looks like, and yeah, this is what you'd expect when you grab info from there. So that's why I said like the schema stuff isn't interesting per se. So yeah, so now you can see like the layout was, we have ID, username, email, and that's what we have here. Um, so oh yeah, so I don't I don't know if you guys took computer in high school. There was always this issue of primary key, primary key, primary key. So in this case, it's telling you, okay, ID is the primary key, which makes sense because it's unique. So yes. Um, let's jump to config and see what's there. So select everything from config. Wait, did I just do from? Wait, yeah, it's from. I think I'm confused. I thought like, you talk as you type. So I thought where I put the asterisks, I had said all, select, like literally, I thought I did something like this, which would be really bad because talking and typing is really hard. So let's do that. And we get a bunch of things here, the timeout, security, auto log on, blah, 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 blah. Enable uploads is set to false, so that's interesting, but there wasn't any web server, so I don't know how that applies here, but yes, so I got the flag. Okay, let's jump back to this. I hope I was slow there, like, so far, I hope. So that you guys don't say, oh, CG, tupeleke pole pole. Um, what symbol can we use to specify that we want to display everything? Okay, so for this, the answer is the like the what do you call this? The placeholder. Yeah, so like it's asterisk because that's what we use. Select all from config. So we have that. What symbol do we need to end each query with? That's an interesting question. Okay, so far we've used the semicolon, but I believe you could also do something like select star from config and then have \G, and I think it would do the same thing. I'm not so sure, but I think it should do the same thing. Yes, so you can see it has done literally the same thing as the semicolon, but since it's pointing that it wants like a one, should I say letter answer, then we use the semicolon, but do note you could also do it this way. So yes, we'd have semicolon there and submit the root flag, which is this, and we're done. Sick. Okay, so in case you replay this recording, you're gonna hear that weird sound effect that happens when you're done with um, a machine on starting point. Anyway, I guess that was pretty much it. I don't think there's anything I've overlooked. I'm sure most of you had no idea about this. I could be wrong, but I'm really sure. I'm so sure. Although IPSEC, in some video, I can't remember what video, but he used capital G, and I can't remember what he was trying to do with this, but he used capital G, and it does the same thing, only that it prints it out differently. And oh shit, I'm trying to do it, and the box has been terminated. Should, but basically, capital G, according to what I know, is it's gonna yeah, it's died. So it's gonna do the same thing, only that it's gonna, display things in a different format. I think in a row sort of layout. So when you talk about row, what are we talking about? Um, so it would have something like, well, let me see if I can do this. So instead of this kind of layout, maybe it would have, actually it's something of a sort, let me see, like this, and then ID, name, value, and then it would have for each of the you know for each of the what am I saying, for each sort of data it would have something like this. Security, wait, what am I doing? Name is security, and value is default. So you can see it's just the same thing but a different sort of format. Yeah, so that like capital G would definitely do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we jump to the next box. Guess I can't throw the flag here. Ooh, I don't have the flag. Great, excellent. I'll just do a finish and continue. So what finish does, it just says complete. So I mostly use this in CTF, so you're done with that challenge, and you don't want to go back to that challenge, I guess. So it just adds complete to my directory. So yeah. So now we jump to this other one. So let me do this and jump to Crocodile and spawn the machine. So just give it a sec to spawn the instance. Okay. Cool. So we have the IP now. Wait, what's this? Crocodile. And we can have, the IP saved in this file. Cold story. So we can copy the files from the other box. This was SQL. We wanna copy, I guess, everything just here. Yes, apart from the nmap scan and the IP that I just overwrote. So let's create this again. Um, yeah, so the only thing we need to change in the script is the port, the IP. Damn. So let's have this. Yeah, that's pretty much it, actually. So let's just run the script. And it's done. That's the end of that story. Port scan finished. Like, this is really good. If it was Nmap, sorry to say, or some other, even if it was Rascan, it would still complain because it also, Rascan is just Nmap, and with the whole buffed up sort of like really aggressive scanning techniques. But for starting point, this is like really good. This is like as good as doing Rascan on a normal machine. So yeah, so we got the ports already. Um, so let's now do the individual sort of, uh, you know, scanning. So we're scanning, we are enumerating port 21 and port 80 because we know they are open. And you can see I already had that in my, what should I call it, autocomplete, because I tried it out. Like I said, I tried it out with this one, and I'm gonna repeat. This one's not gonna take a while. Let's see. I'm just gonna have dash be here just for there's something I'm missing while we save the nmap output. There we go. That looks good. Has it started? Because I don't see any verbosity going around. Or do I have the IP is correct? So what's going on this time? Wait, can I wait? Oh, okay. So sometimes Zishel is just stupid and doesn't show you the prompt sometimes. I don't know what's up with that, but yep. Okay, now it's going, and so it's all gonna take a while, I promise. Going, finishing. Yes, yes. Yeah, there we go. Like I said, it's all gonna take a while. MySQL. Oh, did you notice like how we were trying to log into MySQL and it was like lagging? I think that's the problem that it had. But for this one, easy win. Maybe just come here and answer some few questions. What nmap scanning switch employs the use of default scripts during a scan? So this would be the TAC SC here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So TAC SC. And one default script that it's using in this case, and I think you've seen the error, is the FTP bounce. That's an example of default script, and by the looks of it, I didn't really like it. So yes. Um, what service? Jesus Christ. What service version? I think I need to comment that out from the video. Oh, but it's not that bad. Oh, come on. What service version is found to be running on port 21? So let's see. Where can I get this? Here. So it's, what the hell? Oh, there we go. So it's this. Cool. What FTP code is returned to as for the anonymous FTP login allowed message? You can see it from here. It's 230, and I haven't ever checked like what that means. I guess you can check it right now. I don't know. I don't know what does FTP code 230 mean. Does it mean like anonymous login or login successful, or what's this story about? A Oh, so it's like okay, access granted. Basically, it's access granted. That's how I'd explain this entire blob here. So that's cool. What command do you use to download files? Okay, now we have to connect to FTP. Oh, did I talk about the ports? Sorry. So there are two ports open. There's port 21 running FTP. Port 80 is a web server, and this is the version of FTP running. Um, Anonymous login is allowed, so that means you can log in anonymously. Like you don't need actual creds per se. And I'm gonna talk about this right here where it says, okay, let me just jump back here a bit. I think I'm talking too fast. There are two files on the FTP server. There is the allowed user list and allowed user list password. Okay, now let me jump back to what I wanted to say. So it logged in as FTP. I don't know if you guys remembered. There's a session I did where I said you, there are two ways to log in anonymously to FTP. You can use these two combinations of creds, of default creds. You can use anonymous or FTP. Either works, but most guys use anonymous. I guess because IPsec is anonymous, but this still works. So which one is shorter to type? This one. So yeah. I had no clue. Nmap logs in as FTP. I thought it logs in as anonymous and anonymous, but when I was just brushing through, I saw that and I was like, ah, okay, interesting. Um, so what else do I need to explain? So the web server, it's running Apache with this version, and you can see like the box is Ubuntu. And I need to say this again: if you're using Ubuntu, you know, like, oh damn, like that's so sad. Anyway, um, so the title of the web page is Smash. Uh, I'm not gonna talk further about that, but it says Bootstrap Business Template. Um, yeah, and the OS running is Unix. That's cool. Um, yeah, so we can log into FTP. So FTP, give it the IP, and here is where now, like, I talk to using anonymous as the username. And oh, I thought it was gonna ask me for a password. It didn't. So let's try with FTP. Does the same thing. So that was my point there, and I talked about it a while back. So yes, the first thing I do when I log into FTP is three things. The first thing, it has already done for me, and it says using binary mode to transfer files. I don't think it does this by default. I think this is just something that was, added onto the configuration files for FTP. So what binary does is, when you are downloading a file from FTP, it just like it tries to avoid the scenario where you download a file and it's corrupted just because you're downloading, and maybe there are those bits that you missed, stuff like that. It tries to it helps with you know not being in such situations. The other thing I do is passive. I don't know. Wait, I think I set it to on, so passive on. So okay, it kind of depends. It doesn't necessarily mean that on all boxes you should do this, because I don't know if you've ever like logged into an FTP server, and then when you're trying to like do when you run DAR, it hangs. Like it's gonna reach this point and it just doesn't come back with anything. Passive would help with that, and I think in this case you would set it to off. So yeah, I think I usually set it to on, and then if I notice it's misbehaving, I just set it back to off. But yes, um, the next thing I do is I do a prompt off, and I talked about this again some time back, and I said like, if you do help, you got a bunch of commands here, but the one that's hinting to this question is using either you use get or you use mget. And the difference between these two is, get will try to get only one file. Like, oh, that sounds so wrong. I used get to explain get. Get will try to pull only one file. Mget will try to pull every file. Problem is, if you don't have prompt off, it will keep asking you, do you want to save this file? You're like, yes. It jumps to the next one. Do you want to save this file? And you're like, yes, come on, yes, yes, yes. And it's just painful doing yes every time. So prompt off helps with that, and it's kind of like the SQL dash dash batch option, where for every question it's going to answer with yes by default. So in this case, if you have prompt off and you do mget star, then it will just say yes, I want all these files, and we can try that out. So we do mget star, it's gonna pull both files without asking me for any prompts whatsoever. Yes, so that's pretty much it for FTP, I guess. Also, okay, you find yourself in the situation where you've logged into an FTP server and the FTP server points to the web server. I don't know if that makes sense. Where if you do dir, you'd see files like instead of having this, you'd see like index.php, you know, or index.html, meaning that the files stored here point to the web server. You just have to drop a file here. And how you do that is using put. So you do put and then pass in your file here, and it's gonna you know drop it inside there. You can go to the web server in that case and run it from there. So yeah, there's also that. So okay, let's look at these files. So allowed user list, we get 4 users. There's Aaron, Paul Meow, egotistical SW. So this guy used to be the he used to be the what? He used to be the uh, what content something on HackTheBox. So basically, okay, he was the guy, when someone submits a box that he wants to, be published on HTTP, he was the guy who was seeing, okay, like, does the box make sense? Like, do I want it to be something that's on HackTheBox for the users to play with? So yeah, these days they're usually like 5 of them. So like the ZipSec or XDF and some 3 guys. So they discuss in like a panel and decide, okay, this box, yeah, I guess it's good. And then they say, okay, let's publish the box. And that is why, okay, I'm giving a whole story, but I guess it's interesting. So that is why, like, if you checked, there was the box I did last time, the one that guys complained. It was rated easy and it was supposed to maybe medium, or some other guys were saying hard. When Al Hazard complained on Twitter, uh, IPSEC said, I guess I should be fired then because, we discussed this and we were like, okay, this is an easy box. So, yeah, okay, enough of that. Um, so this, I guess, would be the password list to this for users, I guess. Okay, so there's root, there's super secret password one. I don't know. 50% of the boxes on HackTheBox will always have this password. And it doesn't have to be like this. Maybe it's put in lit speak or something, but this is a very common password. I don't know why they. Okay, anyway. Then there's this blah 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 and this other blah 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 here. Um, okay, that's a cool story, but we don't know what to do with this yet. So let's jump back to the web server that we had running on port 80, right? We just copy the IP and see what the web server is all about. So just come here, copy the, and I'm not gonna. This is, let me not comment. No comment. Um, so it's a nice looking page. What's it about though? It's a business template. Okay, cool, makes sense. So just first thing you do when you get to a web server, just look through and see whether there's anything interesting. Oh, that's cool. And if you're doing a Windows box, I'd always suggest when when you're when you see something like this on a Windows box, please save these names. They're they're most likely users on the box, and maybe you just need to change the format. So maybe if this was a Windows box, maybe this would be J. Dot Riley. This would be R. Dot, what's this? Beta. Yeah. This would be M. Dot Parker. Yeah. They don't usually consider this middle name, but yes. I was supposed to talk about something else. What was I to say though? I've forgotten. Literally. That's fine. I guess I'll remember later. And then there's the contact place where you. This is another interesting thing. Again, when doing a Linux box, we have name, email, and message. In this case, it's massage. Really, I guess that's a mistake, but it should be message. So normally on a Linux box, I'll give you a good example, Anubis. It had such a form, and then the message was being interpreted in ASP. So what you would do is, inject ASP code there, and then it would run stuff, and you'd get a shell. So yeah, that's basically it, I guess. There's nothing too interesting really. Okay, the contact form is interesting, but I know it leads to nowhere, so I'm just saying like so far nothing interesting. So maybe does the download do anything? Nope, it's a dead end. Let's check the page source and see. So mostly I look for comments such here, but these ones aren't useful, so just move on. Is there anything here? None that I can see so far. No, not really. It's a long page though. Yeah, so in short, there's no comment here that's interesting um, as far as that's concerned. So the next thing I do here is, do a directory brute force where you're trying to see, okay, what other directories are on the page. Uh, okay, for me, okay, it's not for me, it's just a modified version. But what I do is I run dar enum and I give it the IP like this. I just need the IP though, like this. And what this is gonna do is uh, the HTTP suite. So dar enum, where's dar enum? Yep. So it's just running FF, and it's using the color option. And this is another thing guys have never known about FAF is it has this auto calibration mode where if it notices like maybe you're getting 200 um, responses and the directories don't exist, and maybe they have the same size, it's just gonna filter that out automatically. So basically it just filters out stuff that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so just give it the URL, and here's where the IP will come in place. Give it the word list, so I use rough small words from seclist. It's a good word list for directory listing. And now here it's just basic threading, so I'm using 50 threads, and I'm saying like um what's this, by the way? Something to do with max request times, I think. So if the page takes more than 0.1 seconds, then just let it go. Which is that's not a good habit though, but so far I'm good. Then this says follow redirections, and dash o just saves it to a file. So yeah, so okay, for this first line, it's just having it on my clipboard. Um, yeah, so it's saving it on my clipboard and then running the command. And what that helps with is if I need to modify anything on this command, then I can just paste what I have on the clipboard and then just edit stuff. Yes, so you can run this. You can see it's going. It has found JS, CSS, assets. These are all default, directories, fonts as well. But dashboard looks interesting. Um, yeah. So what I meant by auto calibration, now I can explain properly, is you see, like the status codes for this are 200, meaning the page exists, right? But there are cases where you'd have 200 response, um, status codes, but the size is the same, meaning it's I don't know how can I explain this. Yes, it's hitting the place, and okay, that sounds so wrong, but it's hitting that endpoint and it's coming back with 200 response, but there's really nothing there. So you'd find for such cases, you'd find maybe a 200 status code, and then the size is just the same. So for example, if this first three didn't exist, it would have 200 1138. Then the second one would have 200 1138. Then the other one would have 200 1138. So the calibrator on FAF just filters out such. Okay, so this is pretty much what it will find. So let me just cancel this. So we go to dashboard and see what's there. So dashboard. Oh, it redirects to login.php. So that's interesting. So in my case, I haven't fuzzed for PHP files, but I have still landed on the login.php, which is cool. Yeah, so I guess we need to sign in here. So we provide a username and a password, and remember we had these two word lists that had the user list and the password list. So I guess we need to do like a brute force. And yes, if you know me, I'm gonna use Python definitely. I don't use Hydra. I don't do that shit. The reason why I do Python is it's flexible, especially because I can, you know, um, what's the word? Integrate it with BAP and see like requests as they go, especially if like you're doing a SQL injection or something like that. And also at some point it's faster than Hydra because with Python I can add the number of threads up to whatever number I'd want, so more than 100. Hydra does a maximum threading of 64. So yes, at times it's faster. And oh yes, actually excellent. So if I jump to my write-up on this, this is the reason why I was able to solve it. I was able to solve some child here by Jones only because the password he used was like really below like it was, how to explain this, like one of the last passwords in RockU. So if you're using Hydra, getting there is a struggle, and so I decided to like use threading, and it finished in like 20 minutes. Before it was taking quite some time when I didn't have threading, and it didn't still finish. So yeah, that's why I like using Python when it comes to brute forcing or web pages, basically. So you don't have to know how to write code in Python. Normally, what I do if I want to like go really quick is I open developer tools, and you do that using Control Shift I, and I just pass in a request, and I copy that request. So we see there's a post request to login.php. So what I do is I come here and right click, copy as cal. And now if you go to calconverter.com, you can convert this cal command into Python. Like that's it. Like you can copy this now and play with it. So that's normally what I do. It's easier than building the thing from scratch. Gonna have a.py here and paste this here. So I guess let me just close this. Okay, so shebang line as always. And this cookies dictionary, I don't really need it. What else? This headers blob is also unnecessary. So yes, there's that. And now we are down to data. So data is where it's passing the username, it's passing the password, and it's trying to log in and see whether you can log in. So let me change this to R. Let's see the response it has when I try to log in with admin. Oh, so in this blob, you'll see incorrect information. So that's basically what it says when you pass in, the wrong um, what username and password. Okay, so what I want to do is for every user here, I want to try this, you know, the passwords here. So I'm going to create a dictionary. No, not a dictionary, but a list. I'm going to say what list, or actually user list. I'm going to say x.strip for x in open. I want to open this in read mode. So this is doing is just opening this user list and putting it in a list. That sounds ish, but it's good, so because now you can loop through every single user here. Because if I do print user list, maybe I just comment this out, you can see we have Aaron blah 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 in a list. So now you can loop through this and do stuff with it. So I'm gonna do the same for the password list. So I have password list, uh, basically the same thing, but then I just change the name of the file. So I'll have this instead. That looks good. So now I can just look through. I say, for user in user list, uh, and now for password in password list. I want you to try this dictionary out. So I'm gonna have it here. I want you to do this, have this. So what this means is, for every user in the user list, it's gonna try add the user here together with the password. And I need to edit this, of course. So I'm gonna use F, just say, the format specifier. So I'm gonna have user here, and for the password, I'm gonna have, password, and everything else looks good. So yeah, let's try this out and see what's going on. So if I run this, um, what is it doing? So it has only sent one request, and the reason is because I also need this in the loop, because we are pulling data from this dictionary, and yet this is in a loop. So also the doing the request also should be in a loop. So something like this. I think this works. Yeah, that looks good. So let me run this again. So now it's doing for every single user um, here, and it keeps saying incorrect information. You can't see it go because it's doing it like really fast. So okay, we know that, and now it has stopped. So I think it has been able to log in, if I'm not wrong. But the cleaner way of doing this, I'm looking for the incorrect information thing. Yeah, it has logged in. Here's the flag. Oops, I'm gonna jump and do it cleanly. So I'm looking for the incorrect information. Where is this thing? Or I just have incorrect. So we know, like, when you try to log in with the wrong username and password, it's gonna say incorrect information. So I'm really looking for this string. Where is it? This is HTML. Looks, yeah, here we go. So it says incorrect information. So basically what I'm gonna do is use regex and say, like, if you look for incorrect information in the results of the request that you're doing, then the username and password is wrong. So if not, then the credentials are okay, they're good to go. So I want to do like what validate, and I say this is re.findAll, and I'm looking for this in r.text. I'm gonna say, if validates, or how am I gonna do this? So we're looking for this. Yeah, so if validates, then, you know, um, we can have like user and pass, and is it pass or password? It's password. Yeah. And so basically, if validate, so if it finds this string, then the username and password is wrong. But if it doesn't, so else, actually we can have like, how can I, like, proper message for this would be login, I guess incorrect, something like that. Else, it will say login successful, and show us the username and password that worked. And after this, it can just break from the loop or exit. Actually, I think exit is better. So the way exit normally is I import sys, and I just do a sys.exit on this. So that looks neat. So let's see if it will work. Yeah, let's see if it works. So login incorrect, Aaron root, Aaron that, Aaron blah blah blah. Same for Ponyao, login incorrect. Egotistical, incorrect. Then admin, incorrect. Then it works with the very last pass with the user admin. So that's cool. And now I guess I could, because it has already logged in. What instead of so okay, I've exited though. That's interesting because now I want to log in and just get the flag. So I don't know which one should I, like, maybe make the request first and then, yeah, I guess I could do that. Or okay, instead of maybe doing sys.exit, I can do that later. So I'm gonna print this, then it's gonna look for the flag. So you can have, flag equals to, again, re.findAll. We're using regex. And if you saw the flag previously, before I started doing this, it was in an MD5 format, meaning it would have some lowercase ASCII letters and digits. So the way I look for that is I do, A to Z 0 to 9, and that means match anything, that has A to Z 0 to 9. Although this will give you a lot of stuff because, for example, let me see. For example, what? Okay, let me just use this as an example. Assume S was in lowercase. If you're doing such a match, this would be also a perfect match because it does have ASCII letters and it also has a digit, so it would match. So the thing I usually do is specify, the size, because I know MD5, it's 32 character long, so that would definitely find an MD5 hash instead of finding, words or strings with this kind of combination where you'd have an ASCII letter and a digit. So, okay, look for the flag in r.text, and I'm gonna remove it from the list. So I think I mentioned earlier, okay, not earlier, but in some other session, that when you do find all, it's, you know, stores your matches in a list. And because we only have one match here, it's gonna be, in a list where looks something like this, blah blah blah, stuff like this. So doing 0 is just exiting out of this so that I just have the string only and not the list. So, print flag. And now we can exit. So let's do that again and see whether it works. So we're trying to log in again. I was planning to use Hydra, but honestly, I can't even remember the syntax for Hydra. But you can try it out just um for those guys who are not comfortable with Python and would just go with Hydra. So now we got the flag. So that's cool. I'm just gonna store this because I don't want to run that again when it comes to going back to the questions. Let me just store that. Okay, now let's try Hydra. And if I'm not able to, we can just, I don't know, maybe I'll just show it in the next session. But we start with Hydra. Oh, I already have a syntax, but this one is for SSH though. It's all gonna do the same thing. Maybe let's go to the browser and see, like, Hydra brute force website login maybe. Okay, yeah, this looks good. This looks really good. So let's see. Okay, blah blah blah. HTTP post form. That's true because we're making a post request. I did the same thing in Python. So let me just use this syntax. But here I'm having HTTP post form, and the IP here needs to change. Grab it from here. And passwords. We're using this one. And for the users, we also have a word list for that. So that would be this. And is there anything else? Yeah, there's the matching that it does when it needs to know whether I also need to have this in a cleaner sort of, wait one sec. The matching where it tells whether it was able to log in or not, because it can't really tell if you don't show it like some way of knowing. Okay, this looks good. We're sending a post request to login.php. So okay, wait. So after, yeah, immediately after this we have slash login.php, and again we have to specify the username equals to. So in this case we'll have caret user caret, and what this is saying is we are pulling the user from this word list. So that's what it's saying. And and password equals to, wait, was it username in password though? Yeah, it was. In password equals to, again, pulling from this word list. So caret pass caret. And now exactly, now the thing that will let it know whether it was logged in or not. The error that I also had in my Python scripts where it says invalid something something. So what was it? It was incorrect information. There we go. So copy this. So we'd have what's this? A colon again and have this. This is too much work. I remember there's a time I had to. I think I was cramming this because I thought maybe this is the only way to do it, and I was watching a video of IPSec, and I had to see. Okay, he has done this, so after that you do this. Oh come on, that's too much work. So I hope this works. Let's see. One successful. I've seen like it was so. Hmm, it's not showing me if if it's incorrect or not though. So it's hard to tell which one was correct, which one wasn't. Can I get like a sanity check here? What are you doing though? Because it says okay, 1 out of 1 target. Oh no. It says 16 valid passwords. That's so wrong. Cause okay, let me try login again and see what it says. Incorrect information. So this is, should I have the warning part? I'm not even sure. Let's just add it and see whether it changes. So this, it still says 16 valid passwords. Oh no. I just have incorrect. I don't think you need to have the whole thing. I'm not really sure. Again, I said I don't use Hydra, so oops. I don't know what's going on. So what it's saying is every credential combination here is correct, which is not true. So I don't know. I don't know if I've done something wrong, but I doubt. Uh, Let me see. Open my Python file. Compare the post requests. Yeah, it's doing to login.php. So honestly, I don't know, but these are the kind of problems you'll end up when you're using Hydro to brute force logins. So yeah, I guess that's it. Can go back to the questions. What command? Oh, we are here. Okay, so remember. Okay, for me, I used mget, but normally you'd use get. Which one of the higher privileged sounding users in the list did we retrieve? That would be admin. If you cut the list again, you get admin this and this and this. So admin is the one that sounds, like high privileged on most scenarios anyway. What version of the HTTP server is running? We go back to our nmap scan and we see this. Are they looking for this? Yeah, they're looking for this. Cool. Love that there. And what is the name of the handy website analysis plugin that we can install in our browser? This would be Wapalizer. It gives you like what's an overview of what's running on the backend and stuff like that. So it already tells the machine is Ubuntu. There's PHP on this login page. Bootstrap is just a framework, a default framework for that matter. The web server is Apache. What else? Nothing really much, but Wapalizer is the answer. So Wapalizer. Cool. So what switch can we use with GoBuster to specify we're looking for specific file types? This would be -x. On FAF, it's usually -e. Like when you're trying, okay, you're looking for PHP specifically. In FAF, you'd have -x. In GoBuster, in FAF, it's -e. In GoBuster, it's -x. So, yeah. What file have we found that can provide us a foothold on the target? This would be the login.php. So we'd have, login.php because that's where like we can log in and get the flag. So that's basically what the question is asking. And submit the flag, which I saved here. Oh, that was fun. Then there we go. I was waiting for that. It's a cool sound effect. Um, yeah, so that's that. Those are the two machines. I hope that was fun. Uh, Now, if I took too long, I was trying to satisfy the thing about going too fast. I hope I've gone like really slow. And that's why I've taken quite some time. Um,
Hey John,
hey, what's up?
I hope guys got to understand. In case you didn't, ask questions right now before the session ends.
Guys, wanna ask questions, or do we have any questions so far with what I've done? No.
Questions? No. But yeah, it was a great session. At least today you went slower than
Much slower. Okay, I usually finish at 9:20, so it's just a difference of what
20
20
minutes.
minutes, which I guess counts. I hope Sasa like guys won't complain. Oh, Mitukimbisha. Okay, so Scipio, I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. He says he has a question. So what's your question? Are you gonna type it or I guess he's gonna
Can
type?
see that
Yeah.
also already starting. Yeah, but it was a great session as we wait for them
Uh-huh.
to join in. Yeah.
Ooh, Sayasa is here. Sayasa, I'm seeing you here for I won't say for the first time, but a first time in a long time. It's good to have you here, bro. Um, guys are still typing. You could just like unmute and tell us, oh, you don't wanna.
Yeah.
Are you shy?
I think guys can unmute.
Yeah, if you want to talk, you can just unmute. We only say mute when I'm doing the session so that it's very annoying when someone is doing something and there's the background noise going on. Uh-huh. So about the nmap scan, is it possible to write other scripts to automate other services? Yes, you could do that. That's very possible. Because the whole default script thing it's stored in a file. I think it's in user share nmap, and then from there like you can get the default scripts file, and if you want to, you can edit it. Probably you wanna add something. Yeah, that's totally possible. So yes. Any other question?
Can see guys typing.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Uh, Sheldredi, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a question. That one, I'm so sure. It's just a comment. Exactly. I knew it. No question. But thank you for that, Sheldredi. So he says, awesome session. Python can do a lot. Yes, actually, if you check the two web charts on CyberCon, there was there was the juggler that I blooded. That one was easy. Then there was I don't know if it's Jiggy or it was GI or G199Y. Those two challenges I did them in Python. And the thing is, if you didn't do them in Python, it would be really hard. Yes, there's a recording chart, thanks to your boy and his powerful rig. Um, if you didn't, if you didn't do it in Python, it would be really hard to spot like what to do exactly because for both of them, it needed you to submit the request as JSON. And normally, when you're doing like a login, like the one that we're just from doing, it's it's not gonna submit it as JSON. It's just gonna submit it as data. So you needed it as JSON for you to log in to the page for both of those challenges. So I think Python is really good. I'm gonna Okay, yes, because for pawn charts we use Python. Web charts you could use Python. Brute forcing and all that. So I think Python is like one of those languages you don't have to know everything, but at least just know something. And then he says, but automating making directory and CD to it was way much funny, I guess. Was way much haha. Like, Sheldon, what are you saying? Yeah. So the reason I did that is, every time you make a directory, then you have to CD. Like that's a lot of work, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, that's too much work. As in, it's not a lot of work, but I think you get my point, especially when you're doing it like so many times. I know there's the dash p that appends to like when I make a directory, but it doesn't CD though. So you have to CD twice or however many times that. Yeah. So yes, Charles, there's a recording and Sheldradi is saying, so where do we get the record? I'm gonna upload it. I usually upload to Easy Upload, and the thing is, because I don't have money, quote unquote, so like the way Bright says, us like us brokers. Yeah, because I don't have money. So the free user gets so when I upload, I can choose like when it can expire. So as a free user, I get options of 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, and 30 days. Like 30 days is tops. So after 30 days, it's gonna expire. But I think that's enough time for someone to go back to the recording and replay it. Or yeah, I think that's a lot of time. So
Yeah.
yes, anything else? I will subscribe to your Python 101. If I ever want to do a session on Python, I will. Trust me. Yes, automating on the go. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a catchy name to do with automating. And anyway, I'm not a fan of the like doing videos for guys like Viper does sometimes on his YouTube channel. So yeah. First session and it was fantastic. Oh, this is your first time. Welcome and
Welcome, welcome.
welcome so much. Appreciate the clear explanation of the commands. Yes. I think today is when I've nailed it when it comes to explanation because guys keep saying, "Oh, unatupeleka mbio," and I'm like, really? Have you seen me like going fast? Anyway, yeah, I'm really glad you enjoyed it and that understood the explanations. I hope no one is talking about the nmap thing that I did. Um, that was really interesting because I just I thought about it today because every time I do the port scan when I'm doing this starting point machines, it always gives me a problem. So CPL says writing scripts is easier than using some tools. Exactly. Actually, I'd tell you write your own tools, like make your own tools. That's what I'd tell you. Also, when it comes to CTF, just like automate stuff, like even the very basic automation, like the one I've done for making a directory and moving to that directory. That also goes a long way. So I got that from Jaspizas. I think if you're on HackTheBox, you know Jaspizas. He's a monster. He bloods almost all the machines. So that's when I was starting out. That was the very first things he told me, like just automate. Actually, no. Let me share his GitHub page so that you see what I mean by just automation, like the very basic sort of automation. Let me just share. So he calls it the shell aliases. Um, yeah. So you can see like the kind of things he has automated, like starting a web server. Also, the moving to the directory thing, I also got it from there, and some other cool things. Yeah. So that nmap thing is noise. Yes, it is. It really is. But it's not a thing. It's just for starting point at this point because it's not that effective. But for starting point, yeah, it's really good. So I guess that's it. I'm gonna share the recording with Phrase. So there's a channel. Oh, exactly. There's a channel that we created today with Phrase. Um,
Yeah,
it's called Session Recordings. If you just check under information, okay, we have from discussion, then we have information, where we have rules, welcome, blah 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 blah. There is session recordings at the very end, right below tools and resources. That's where the recording will be placed by the admin who is Phrase because he doesn't want anyone else to be an admin, but it's fine.
yeah, man.
um, Nashi says, thanks for the session. Yep, you're very welcome, and I hope you learned a thing or two.
Yeah, thanks
So,
for the session. It was
uh-huh.
awesome. I think just probably an announcement. So for this week, the next session will be on Friday, where we'll be tackling cloud with Jackie. Then next week, Monday, we continue with the starting point. So, yeah, I think that's it. Those two sessions are the ones that are coming up this week and next week.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have Cloud Security on Friday by Jacqueline. Jacqueline is one of the sweetest souls you'll find in cybersecurity. Like, she's a very nice person. But in cloud, Hey, she's a monster. Um, yes, so I guess I'll jump into that session just for the. Okay, okay, that sounded wrong, but I'm gonna be there to record and learn what is it to do with cloud. Um, yes. So guys are still typing. Let's just wait a bit. Kai's, or I don't know how to pronounce that alias, but he says, I loved it. This is my first session. Oh, welcome. Where are guys coming
Welcome.
from? Is it on Twitter where you see? Yeah, but anyway, welcome. I hope you're on the WhatsApp group. So yeah, guys like to insult me there. So it's a really fun place to be, honestly.
I
Awesome.
think we should bring the same. We should
Yeah.
bring the same to. We should bring the same like to Discord.
Yeah, but like I find like okay, like guys aren't usually that active on Discord. So, oh,
Yeah,
he saw it on your status phrase. That's awesome. Really cool.
so
So, if
welcome.
that's yeah, awesome. So if that's it, I guess we can wind up. And
Yeah.
yeah, for the guys who left early, maybe for their own reasons, they'll get the recording at least, which is really cool. So okay, there's someone else
Yeah.
typing. This guy is from Uganda. That was awesome. Thanks, bro. So awesome. So I guess at this point, oh, there's someone else typing. Come on, guys. It would be so easy if you just unmuted and tell us. Can I get the link for the WhatsApp group? Oh, phrase you can share the link, I guess.
Yeah. I hope the group is not okay.
So phrase is gonna you can DM him directly on Discord and share the link, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that will be easier. Just DM me.
yeah. So I guess that's it. I don't see anyone else typing. Maybe let me confirm. Yeah, there's no one else typing. So yeah. Hope you guys. Someone is typing. Okay. Did you just wait for me to say no one else is typing? Okay, that's phrase. Cool. So yeah.
Okay.
So awesome. So let me round it up. Um, I'm gonna see you guys on Friday. Although I'm not gonna be the speaker, but I'm gonna be there, and let's learn cloud security. So yeah. I guess that's it from me. I guess phrase you can close the session.
I think that's it. I There's not much to add. So yeah. See you on Friday and next week Monday as well. And for those who will be going for the cyberphone finals, see you then as well. Yeah, that's it from me.
Awesome. So good night, guys. Have a great week and peace.